What's up everybody, Matt Maran here for another weekly update. So there's lots of exciting news to go over here this week. But before I get into the news, I first want to mention that I will be doing my usual weekly live stream on Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So join if you can. It's always a fun time hanging out and talking cars with all of you. And also it's important to join this weekend because I know the biggest news here this weekend is going to be the new Lamborghini Huracan successor, which I film these videos usually on Thursdays, and so I'm missing out on that. I'm not going to be able to cover that here today, but that is the biggest news I'm sure of the week, so we will talk all about that in the live stream here. But getting into the news here this week, before I get into those Monterey debuts, there's also two big other reports that came out this week that I think are a little more relevant compared to all of the, very unobtainable supercars and stuff. But so the first thing here to talk about is Reuters had a big report this week about Toyota's future, and so they talked with the head of sales and marketing for Toyota North America, who revealed that going forward, we plan to evaluate car line by car line whether going all hybrid makes sense, and added that there was no deadline for this yet, and said that some models like economy vehicles or trucks could take longer due to customer price sensitivity on their base trims, but he said that they're seeing hybrid popularity continue to accelerate, going from 9% of Toyota's sales in 2018 to now 37% of Toyota's sales, at least as recently as June here. And he says that hybrids will be well over 50% of our total volume by next year. So out of the 31 current gas-powered Toyota and Lexus products, 8 are hybrid only already. We saw this with Sienna, we saw it with Land Cruiser, and many others. And so, it makes sense. This is the direction they're heading. They just did this with Camry. And so 2 other anonymous people, supposedly familiar with Toyota's product planning discussions, added that Toyota is likely to take the RAV4 to a hybrid-only setup here in 2026 as well, for the 2026 model year. Again, mirroring Camry, most likely mirroring powertrains of Camry as well, but again, we'll have to see about that. And also, when they say hybrid-only, that doesn't mean PHEVs are out. Plug-in hybrids are still going to be a very important component of this, with those insiders also saying many will come as plug-in hybrids as well, and we'll even have bigger batteries, most likely, they say, being designed on electric vehicle platforms, actually, that are then able to accommodate small gas engines. We've been hearing about this. I've been reporting about this for probably over a year now, this idea they're going to have, I think a number floated was like 120 miles of electric range, and then have a little gas engine just to back it up, beyond that. But basically, again, give people the electric vehicle with training wheels that they need to help them feel comfortable, and also, again, for the people that just genuinely, do need a longer amount of electric range and, want to have the comfort of gas there. And again, it's about meeting people where they are and having something for everyone is kind of the Toyota mantra here, and I think it makes a lot of sense. But so as far as other stuff here, the other new detail, according to these anonymous sources, is that the first one of these advanced plug-in hybrids to arrive will be a next-gen Corolla plug-in hybrid that'll first come to China in 2026 before landing here in the States in 2027, and the rest of North America, I'm sure, as well. And this doesn't mean that electric vehicles are off the table at Toyota either, though. EVs are still in the works, with their $35 billion investment for new batteries and platforms still happening, along with an aim to convert about 30% of its global fleet to electric vehicles as soon as 2030. Again, this is, still probably in line with a lot of others that have even scaled back their plans, but, considering there's one electric vehicle currently offered by Toyota and one by Lexus, going up to 30% by 2030 is actually a big expansion in EVs for them. So they are still bringing the EVs in a serious way. Again, not 100% or anything, and 2030 is, only basically 5 years away at this point. But, to me, that's actually fairly quick and impressive. And this is also in line with Toyota's chairman, Akio Toyoda, believes that, in his opinion, the whole world will max out at just about 30% EV adoption. And I'm not sure how far out he's thinking for that. That, remains to be seen if we stop at 30% adoption rate for EVs forever. But he has been insisting this whole time that this multi-pathway approach to reducing carbon emissions is, the best way forward. And, so time will tell, again, if he's right about that adoption rate. But I think clearly he's been right as far as, they have played this past year perfectly. I'd say better than anyone by far, with the amount of, tons of hybrids, plug-in hybrids, available whenever. Right now, that's what everyone wants, is the hybrids and the plug-in hybrids, and Toyota has more than anybody. And so, you know, I'd say right now Toyota is kind of king of the world as far as, you know, car companies goes. I mean, they were the largest in the world as well, but they're actually playing things perfectly, I'd say, right now. And maybe they will in the future as well. Maybe, you know, these long-range plug-in hybrids are really the way to basically electrify everyone without having them go to a full EV, do it with less resources and all that. And, you know, I think it's pretty brilliant. I've always admired Toyota's approach for ever since, you know, I said Prime all the things back when their F4 Prime came out in, what, 4 years ago now? And unfortunately it's taken longer than I thought, but, you know, we're getting there, I think, and great to see they're planning on doing a lot more of that here. So for the electric vehicles that they do plan to offer, though, they say they'll arrive as fully electric versions of existing top-selling models, but with smaller production numbers for the electric variants of those. So I think that they're seeing the way that BMW has done things, which I think is the right approach from at least the luxury segment. Instead of doing the jelly beans like Mercedes that are completely different, you know, just take the slight arrow hit by just taking your regular gas-powered stuff, you know, blocking off the grills and making it electric and having something a little more familiar for people. And it sounds like Toyota's probably going to do something similar to that as well. We'll wait and see, because there's also been rumors that, like, the Highlander's going to go electric only and Grand Highlander's going to be gas only. You know, so we'll see how this all plays out. You know, lots of rumors and reports, but this is the most recent one here. And also, this is interesting, you know, how it plays into the U.S. emissions standard, because even if the new U.S. emissions standards here that were announced a few months back, if those do stand, which is a big if with the EPA getting gutted and everything, but if that does actually stand, they're supposed to kick in 2027, and Toyota apparently can comply just by simply going all hybrid by 2030, you know, like this report's suggesting, and also increasing the amount of plug-in hybrids, like this report is also suggesting. And that's according to a former Toyota manager who worked on their global powertrain planning for nearly 2 decades, Katsuhiko Heroes. I probably mispronounced that, I apologize, but he said hybrids will buy them more time and give Toyota flexibility over how fast and how many EVs they'd have to roll out. Lastly, adding that they wouldn't feel pinned against the wall to produce EVs. So, I mean, it sounds like Toyota's perfectly positioned for the future. They can do things at their own pace. They don't rush things. And yet, again, they are still bringing down those carbon emissions with hybridizing everyone, which is a lot of cars. I mean, RAV4 alone sells 400,000 units. If they make all of those hybrid, I mean, that means the second best-selling vehicle, you know, just only behind the F-150 would be hybrid only, you know, in 2026. That's huge. And that alone, combined with, again, all these plug-in hybrids and everything, could really, you know, be the right way forward. And we will see how many other companies copy. We've heard about everyone else trying to rush out plug-in hybrids and all that as well. But, yeah, it's almost like Toyota had the perfect crystal ball here. And, yeah, it'll be interesting to see, you know, these new models coming out. It sounds like there's going to be some really compelling stuff. So anyway, very exciting to see that, and I'm happy for Toyota that they've really nailed it. And another interesting news story here. Automotive News has another surprising report here, with them getting intel from anonymous people at a Ford dealer convention that recently happened in Las Vegas. So even though CEO Jim Farley just said a few weeks ago that, like, you know, the idea of an off-road Mustang is a pretty far-fetched thing, he's not like, oh, I'm not sure if we'd actually be able to pull that off or something. It seems like he was clearly just bluffing there, because if the dealers are telling the truth here, they say that Ford showed them images of an all-wheel drive off-road Mustang with, you know, knobby tires on it, but it didn't have a name just yet. So assuming they wouldn't call it Raptor, because if it was Raptor, you'd have big Raptor grille and all that stuff. But some kind of safari-style Mustang, along with a sedan version supposedly called the Mach 4, which is an interesting name, but not terrible. I still wish they'd just call it, I don't know, something else. They could just call it Thunderbird or whatever. I'm not going to go into that tangent. But anyway, so the other thing is supposedly these new variants of the Mustang, all of them are going to be gas-powered. So no worries about, you know, Mach 4 just being a Mach-E in a sedan form or anything. No, these are all going to be gas-powered. And I think also this is Ford realizing, okay, if Dodge isn't going to do a, you know, V8-powered Charger, especially four-door, you know, let's fill that four-door gap. They saw clearly how many, you know, Chargers they sold over the past decade or more here, and I'm sure Ford kind of wished they got into that game sooner. And, you know, Chevy's not getting into it, and so I think this is a prime time if, you know, Dodge is going to leave all those Charger sales behind, at least for the V8 buyers. I think this, could be, a well-timed thing for them if they can get it out here, very, very quickly. Also, supposedly the dealer said that they showed off an RTR modified EcoBoost, which would explain why they dropped the high-performance package for the 2025 model year here. That is going to replace that, I'm guessing. And lastly, they showed a V8-powered high-performance convertible with Shelby-like styling, but without Shelby badging, which is odd. Supposedly there was a tidbit in Ford Authority saying that Ford executives prefer to have vehicles with their own names instead of licensing names from third parties. If that's true, I mean, getting rid of Shelby is pretty tough to do. But if that's really what they want to do is get rid of Shelby, I guess they could and still do something supercharged. I don't think Shelby has a license on, over-the-top stripes or anything, so you could call it whatever you want. This also is for anyone hoping for a next-generation Bullet. If they're talking about not loving third-party licensing, I'm sure they're not going to want to jump through the hoops there for another Bullet as well. So, and I feel like a Bullet wouldn't fit with S650's vibe anyway, but, don't hold your breath for that if you are a Bullet fan. Yeah, so that's interesting. Also, other tidbits from this meeting include confirmation that Ford is working on a low-cost EV platform that would underpin not only the $25,000 EV that Jim Farley's been talking about, for the past several months here, but also that would be used for a series of cars. And I'm hoping that they're using the word car literally and not just to describe motor vehicles. I'm hoping, because they say this is going to be used for a series, so that means multiple models. I would sure hope that at least one of them is a sedan or a hatchback, or if we really want to dream, maybe a coupe, called a Pinto, or, something else fun. I don't know, but, it'd be cool to see, them do some actual cars and not just crossovers. Obviously, a little crossover also is something they should do. But, we'll see about that. They didn't say, though, whether that program was still on target for 2026 for that 25 grand EV. But that was the initial discussion a few months back, was that was the target for 2026. We'll see, if that happens. They also supposedly showed off a small commercial vehicle based on the Maverick that will replace the Transit Connect that they dropped back in 2023. So it sounds like they want to get back to doing something like that, and putting it on the Maverick platform. It's supposed to be like a van. A Maverick van sounds really cool, and honestly, they should sell a non-commercial version of that as well. I think that could be a fun little minivan kind of deal. Maybe like a Mazda 5 or something like that, for those who remember those. That'd be kind of cool. We'll see, but anyway, that's supposed to could arrive as soon as next year for that little van. So anyway, cool to hear all that. And BMW has revealed the M5 Touring here this week, and the big news here is this is the first touring version of the M5 to come to America, and it carries over the sedan's twin-turbo V8 and plug-in hybrid combo that still does 717 horsepower and 738 pound-feet of torque, along with 25 miles of electric range. It also retains the sedan's 50-50 weight distribution, but does get unique bracing in the back, and it also offers the Sky Lounge panoramic roof that isn't available on the sedan version of the M5. So, hopefully a little bit more comfy. And so it's just fantastic that they decided to bring it here. I hope that it sells well enough. And it sounds like it actually could sell pretty well, because it'll begin arriving at dealers later this year, they say, and pricing starts at $122,675, which is about $4,000 less than the Audi RS6 Avant. So in that context, it's actually really well priced. Like, they're actually going to, attract a lot of people with that kind of pricing, especially considering this has about 100 more horsepower. Now, yes, it also has the extra weight as well, and the plug-in hybrid capability, which is all expensive extra stuff as well that you don't get in the RS6 Avant. Time will tell, whenever we get to drive them, as far as how the handling will be compared to that. But I mean, starting the price under the RS6 is a good place to begin, at least. And so, glad to see another awesome wagon here, and I hope they actually do build them in decent numbers. This isn't something they build 150 of or something and call it a day. I hope they actually build these in good numbers. So, anyway, but great to see that. Very exciting, and a huge historic moment here, especially for BMW fans. Lincoln this week has debuted the 2025 Navigator, which they say is a new generation, but it is riding on essentially the same platform as the old one, and the 3.5-liter 4-liter EcoBoost V6 and 10-speed automatic carry over, with the motor doing the same horsepower and torque. So under the skin, it's all the same, it seems. But the stuff that's new, of course, is the styling inside and out, and that's what matters the most anyway with this kind of stuff. So Lincoln joins the 24-inch wheel trend to compete with the new Escalade, and Lincoln is also getting rid of chrome, surprisingly, instead giving you the choice of either satin aluminum or glossy black plastic. And there's also, you know, all the cool new LED lighting and all that. And aside from the styling, though, one huge change is that now it gets what they call the Lincoln Splitgate, which will be going clearly after the Range Rovers and stuff. And there's a really cool feature to set it apart from the Escalade and the Grand Wagoneer there. It also can include a back seat and a table. So I think it's actually, I'm actually impressed and applaud their creativity to do something. I mean, that's a pain to engineer, you know, and so that's a nice thing that they've added in, and you know, it shows they're actually putting a lot of effort here into this. And inside, you can see it clearly transplants the fantastic screen setup from the Nautilus, but here in the wider Navigator, it's a little less impressive to me, at least, since, you know, they didn't bother extending it out to the pillars and instead just literally lifted the Nautilus screens as is and put them in here. And this is an area where, in my opinion, the Escalade will look a little bit more impressive, with theirs going closer to full width, although it isn't quite pillar to pillar, even though they say it is a Cadillac. But that one is at least 55 inches compared to this one being 48 inches in the Navigator. And again, we're talking about, you know, what are nicely sized TVs that are, you know, in these things. So, you know, it's kind of silly to complain about having, you know, 7 less inches here for the Navigator. But, you know, whenever bragging rights and, you know, big screens and stuff, that's all that matters these days in these types of things. And so it's just notable this is behind the Escalade there. But that screen also incorporates a new turn signal view feature, with Lincoln appearing to be the first to finally copy Hyundai Group's blind view monitor. And I'm surprised no one else has copied this idea yet, because it's a good idea, and I'm glad that Lincoln copied it. Yeah, so good to see that. Beyond that, you also get the 11.5 or the 11.1 inch touchscreen and steering wheel from the Nautilus as well. And the second row gets a big upgrade as well, now with seats that are available with not just heating and cooling, but their own massage function as well. The third row can also be heated now, and they say the materials are also improved throughout the cabin. And so there's no pricing yet for these, but they'll begin arriving at dealers in the spring of 2025. So cool to see that. Cadillac has also just revealed the Opulent Velocity concept, and as you can see, it's a far-out concept that, according to Cadillac, is a concept that represents the future vision of electric performance for Cadillac V-Series. But it's just a design study, unfortunately, so I won't spend too much time on this. It's just a fun-looking thing. It's a 2+2 that theoretically has level 4 autonomous capabilities, an augmented reality head-up display with a ghost car function to help coach you on track is kind of the idea there, and help you to, be a better driver, and also potentially compete against other people on track. And it also, they say, has the maximum thrill of a hypercar vehicle while keeping the sense of luxury that has become synonymous with Cadillac V-Series. So of course it's going to be fast, especially if, again, it's going to have a V badge on it. But they didn't give any mechanical details, even hypothetical ones for this, so who knows, exactly how fast it would be. It's beautiful as well, though, I have to say, with that infinite taillight effect especially being cool, and the very swoopy design. And I was actually on the Q&A call whenever they revealed this here to us journalists ahead of time, and a lot of people were asking, is Cadillac going to finally do a supercar? Is this going to be, something we can actually see? And, they mentioned how, they have the Celestiq and things like that that are, designed to, again, kind of elevate Cadillac. And there's some stuff in the press release here talking about bespoke, features and all this. So, I'd say if there's a chance of something like this actually getting built, there's a better chance now than ever from Cadillac compared to the CL and, the other supercars they did in the past. We're seeing Soleil most likely. I'm still betting will come to production. There's no official word on that yet either. But, we're starting to see this kind of stuff. Why not do something performance-oriented, not just the Celestiq and the Soleil, but also why not do, Opulent Velocity or whatever they want to call it. So, I don't know. I mean, this is pretty far-fetched, but I think if they put a Celestiq interior in this thing, and, tone down the styling just a tiny bit, it's not out of the realm of possibilities, in my opinion, to see something like this actually be produced. Again, especially if people are willing to pay $500,000 or more for something like this. Who knows? We'll have to see. But Anyway, I mean, you already have 1,000 horsepower available in the Hummer, although it's a double stack battery. But if they can work around that engineering hurdle, or this is on some next generation platform or something, maybe they could actually make something like this happen. We'll see. But anyway, cool to see that. Acura has also revealed a concept here that's meant to preview a future design, as far as not only design elements for Acura in general, but also for, they say, their next EV. They say this is meant to preview their next EV. They say the production version of this will be the first model to use Honda's new electric platform that they're developing on their own. So not the GM cooperation, but something on their own here. We've been hearing about Honda doing their own platform for a while now, and we've heard that it'll be coming around 2026. And sure enough, they say this will be the first model produced at their new Ohio EV hub, and they're simply calling it the Performance EV concept, but they refer to it as an SUV. And again, they say it's scheduled to go into production in late 2025. So this is coming, basically a little over a year from now, which is a quick turnaround because that looks very concept-y. So we'll see how much this actually previews the actual production vehicle. But as far as that design, though, they say it's inspired by the hydrofoil super yachts, but also the second generation NSX as well, especially in the rear there. And it may get toned down for production a good bit, but at least on this concept, it's running 295 wide tires on 23-inch wheels, so a lot of potential grip there as well. And we also don't know anything about motors, since again this is all going to be Honda in-house stuff. So I'm assuming it's going to have a decent amount of power, but how much remains to be seen. But hopefully we get some more teasers and some more info on the production version here sometime earlier next year before that late 2025 debut. But anyway, very cool and exciting to see that. And I'm excited to see after the SUV, what kind of hopeful sedan and maybe sports cars, things like that they do on this platform. There's been talks of a new NSX and stuff as well. So hopefully all that kind of stuff is also in the cards here in the not too distant future. Another Monterey debut here is that Pininfarina has debuted the one-off Battista Targamerica as a convertible version of the Battista that apparently they won't build outside of this one. They were very adamant, like, this is not going to be repeated, this is only just this one, and that's it. So it was commissioned by a renowned car collector who already owns a regular Battista but wanted a convertible, but apparently didn't want the B95 Speedster that is already available. I'm guessing maybe they wanted a windshield and they wouldn't put that on a B95 for him, so we made this instead, or they just wanted a one-off just to say they're the only one. But besides the removable roof, you can see there's unique slats on the trunk lid area inspired by the Ferrari Testarossa Spiders engine cover. And the inside is the same as the Battista, aside from something I've never seen on a car before. A built-in cigar holder and humidor that's in between the two front seats there. They say it can hold 3 cigars and it's backlit as well. And so safe to say this is probably going to be a smoker's vehicle. So not like it matters. He's probably never going to sell it. But anyway, there is no price revealed, of course. Doesn't matter, but interesting to see that. Moving on from the Monterey stuff here, Chargepoint appears to have solved the charging connector issue for those that don't want to mess with an adapter, at least a Chargepoint charger. So they introduced what they call the Onmi port this week, which can switch the connector from CCS to NACS and back automatically just by selecting which one you need at the charging stall there. So this sounds like an electronic mechanism, which has me concerned that this is going to just feed into the unreliability of the EV, charging stops here. But hopefully it's pretty robust and pretty reliable. It'll be also nice, for these new combo chargers coming, companies like Electrify America, they're just, I believe, going to have, one side being CCS, another side being NACS. And it's just like, well, if you show up, and even if you can charge 2 cars at that stall, if someone's got the CCS connector and you need that, and there's an NACS connector just sitting there unused, you don't have an adapter, there could be still some wasted space and time there. So this is kind of a cool idea to have both sides be able to do both there. Still, I'd just recommend carrying an adapter with you regardless, but it'd be nice, if Tesla chargers also offered something like this, for people that didn't want to have an adapter at, Tesla chargers, to truly open those up completely to other makes and not just force them all to have NACS ports. But anyway, it's pretty smart. I'm surprised no one's actually done this sooner, but I'm glad to see it. It'll be arriving here hopefully just in time for all these new crop of NACS port vehicles that are supposedly coming next year. We will see, again, how fast that, switchover happens. But anyway, very cool to hear that. And lastly, Ferrari has revealed in their recent quarterly reports here that order books are now closed for the SF90 Stradale and the A12 GTS. And production will be ending soon, of course. But the SF90 Spider will continue, though, along with the XX versions that, you know, are the newest iteration. Those will continue for a while, as will the A12 Competizione. But, yeah, it's interesting. There isn't any successor really planned for the SF90, you know, at least that we know about yet. I mean, that always kind of sat at the top of the range. So, you know, there's this new LaFerrari successor coming relatively soon. I guess that potentially could be what will kind of take the place of this in a way. There's also the electric Ferrari coming, I believe, in 2026. Maybe that's been delayed now, but you know, that could potentially again be the new technical tour de force like the SF90 was. You know, and just take it to the next level with an electric thing. We'll see. Of course, the A12 GTS, it already has its direct successor, the 12-cylinder Spider, so that one makes sense. And they did say, though, that even though A12 Competizione production will continue a little longer, they say it is approaching the end of its life cycle, as is the Roma Coupe. I'm surprised. I thought Roma would stick around longer, but I'm assuming maybe they'll do like a Roma T or some kind of, you know, revised version, I'm guessing. But they do say the regular Roma Spider is still planned to continue for a while, because that just came out, I believe, last year, so that's, you know, still pretty fresh. But I got to do a cheers to the A12 GTS, because that is still one of my ultimate dream cars. And like I've said when others have asked me this in the live stream recently, if I had to have just like one fun car and I could have, you know, basically anything, A12 GTS is probably what I would get. You know, you have the roof off, awesome naturally aspirated Ferrari V12, my favorite sounding engine currently in production. And yeah, you have it there with the amazing looks of the A12 GTS. So I'm going to miss that. So I'm going to do some cheers here. I'm opening a new bottle for anyone's whiskey enthusiast here. This is Maker's Mark 46. I'm going to try some of this for the first time as well. Do a little bit of a whiskey tasting here in the live stream. Let me make sure I bottle this up. But yeah, so cheers to the A12 GTS. You will be missed, and hopefully they depreciate a little bit, so more people can afford them, and I will keep on dreaming and playing the lottery. But cheers to the A12 GTS. And that's very good. But lastly, I want to thank all of you that are members of the Maran Motoring Club. So we did have one new member was able to join last week thanks to Kyle's very generous gifting that he continues to do in every week's live stream pretty much. And so huge thanks, Kyle, to your continued generosity. I know many of the members that continue to be members, thanks to your generosity, really appreciate it. I certainly appreciate it. And I'm sure the new member here, CC, does appreciate it as well. And big welcome to them as well. I hope you're enjoying all the membership perks so far, including that party answering. Looking forward to chatting with you here in the live stream if you can make it. But yeah, for anyone else like to get that party answering as well as all the other membership perks that come with being a member, there's always join buttons here on the video page, on the channel page, and a link in the description. But anyway, thank you all very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Please leave a like and subscribe to keep these videos coming, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.